Okay, so I'm recording it now. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is take a look at the. If you wanted to click on the full video, you can see it on a bigger screen.
Okay, let me make this. Okay, it's full video. Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have all of these construction planes, which should come from. They're located somewhere, uh, and usually you can tell by kind of highlighting. So if you highlight a bunch, I noticed that
Okay,
it's
there it
probably
is.
this one. So
This one.
yeah, so it's giving you an origin X Y plane. I don't really know how this all of this kind of works right now, but I do know that if you just disable the preview on that one, you have a lot
Okay.
of more control and you're able to see what you're working on. These are just construction
Mm-hmm.
planes, right? Just like kind of
Okay, cool. I
so
got it.
so take that one and then hide it on yours to see if it works.
Yeah. Okay. At the very last part, I did something and I just raised those things up. I don't know why it doesn't work anymore. It's not
Or on which one?
going. So if you go to the right, to the very right end of the component, yeah, actually last part, yeah, exactly that part. So I think, yeah, it's nothing is everything is orange now.
Well, from what I noticed is that when you see orange stuff, you need to trace it back all the way to where the orange is no longer existing, because that is probably where the
Right
issue is. So right now I see
there.
that where we have this number, um,
Mm-hmm.
we have an empty number parameter. So maybe if we can click in here and give it an actual number, because it says it has no data. So I don't really know how
Mm-hmm.
this was constructed. Do you know if you were supposed to have a specific number here?
Yeah, I have it here. Let me check. Oh, okay. If you change your things to like my display, like what you showed me last time,
Oh,
I
I
changed the
see.
display. To,
Drawing icons.
yeah,
Okay,
to
I see that.
what? Yeah. So maybe you can see that it's I don't know. It's something like if you mean that 0.1, I'm showing on my
Well,
screen.
that what it is I'll give you an idea of what it is. So I'll show you on my screen. So if you take a look at this component,
Yeah.
this is like a typical number component. So when
Okay.
when you go here to if you go to your here to your geometry, right? We have geometry,
Mm-hmm.
we have primitive, and we have here numbers. So one that you
Right.
the point one that you're seeing is not actually the point
Okay.
one in here.
Okay. Okay. I know what's wrong with it. Let me show it to you on my screen. Something is missing on your file. Is this one here? I think.
Okay, I see what you mean. So a times, so it's a multiplication. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
multiplication a times b, but then you put a from here to a, but then
Mm-hmm.
b has to be multiplied by by a specific number. So that's a number that you have to pick. Do you see what I mean?
Okay. So you're right. Right. There is, and it's nothing. How with that? No, it's something else. Right. Yeah. I mean, I see.
So you can create a custom slider, right? So if you wanted to, you can do a slider from one dot 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 to five, and then see if you plug in just one, if it works. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's working.
It's worse. Okay.
And if I'm not
Cool.
mistaken, I think that's the I don't know what that is. I think that's an offset. So if you move the
Yeah.
slider around, it's
Changes
kind of like an
the
offset. Yeah.
right. It changes the waves. Actually, I have something on my file. I think I don't know why it's missing on yours. I think I have something like 15 or 16 here somewhere else.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, for now, the one is working, but figure out what it is that you're supposed to have for your assignment.
Okay, I see. Actually, it was not an assignment. Just it is our. It's something due next week, our midterm, and it's all about facade patternings.
Oh, great, cool.
So yeah, so he told us just go on your own and look to for some. Actually, he gave us something, but it's better to. I mean, look on YouTube or somewhere else. It's more. I mean, understandable just he said, just go for something, find it, learn it, and create your own facade. And these are warm ups and practices. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, how cool! Well, yeah, these are cool, cool designs and cool scripts. Um, from here,
Mhm.
is there any other questions you had?
So all other things are correct here. So you mean everything is correct here, so nothing wrong. It's just like that, the
So,
facade.
what I'm seeing here, what's different between this facade, right, and the
Mhm.
facade that we see in the picture is that the facade that
Right.
we have in the picture, we have, like, we have, let's say, this curve, and then here we have a curve going kind of like the opposite way, right? And then
Right.
what's different about, oh, I just clicked on the wrong one. What's different about this one is that, yeah, that always happens. Uh,
It's just very simple thing. I mean, it has, I mean,
it has,
different spaces between the
yeah.
curves and those.
So this one is just kind of like an extrusion, which is cool. I think that would be a nice design. But one of the things you could mess around with is maybe the scale of one of those lines. So I
How
think
we could,
so. Let me see how you created. How did you create this surface? It was created with all of these.
oh, the surface. Okay, I have to go back to my file to show you how did I do it. The surface part is here. If you could see that, that's the part that I'm talking about. I mean, the surface is like that. If you look at my screen,
I see. Yeah, I'm looking at your screen. I
you
see
can
it.
see that, and you can see it here as the color thing.
I see.
Green. Yeah, I created like that. That's the service part.
Okay, I
And
see.
oh, something else about those trees. Could you, I mean, tell me what exactly are they? And I mean, when we use it, why we use it? You know, I just picked something. I just try to do as much as close to what they are doing. But some stuff I didn't understand. Something like the trees. I don't know what is exactly the trees. I
Well,
mean,
that's a
different.
good question, and here's a little trick because sometimes for me it's basically working backwards. It's reverse engineering what it is, and so
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I don't really know, but the way that I can find out is I can bring in a panel, and then
Mm-hmm.
we can see what this component does by seeing what comes
Okay.
in, and then what comes out,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you take a
Right.
look at this tree, we have all of these curves coming in. So we'll take a
Mm-hmm.
look at these curves and we see that we have all of so we one,
Mm-hmm.
two, three, four, five, six, seven curves, right? And after we put it through the this one, which is flattened tree,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna see that
Violence.
what's gonna happen is all of these. You see how they're individual.
Mm-hmm.
They all have like a number above instead of all being under
Mm-hmm.
one list. What it is these are like
Yeah.
grouped together in little chunks, and you can tell this is a little tip that
Uh,
will become useful in the future is that you see all these little wires, you see how they're dashed
mhm,
as compared to
mhm,
these wires that are not dashed,
mhm.
and you see
Right.
that this wire
Yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
is really thick and this one is
Not
really thin.
that, yeah, yeah. And I don't know the difference between them.
So the difference is that once you have all of these dashed lines coming in, that means that they're grouped chunks, they're grouped information, and as soon
Mhm,
as you flatten it, you'll notice that it's organized information
mhm.
into you see how it has one header and 1 2 3 4 5 6. This has
Uh-huh.
one header one header one, and that
Mhm,
means that they're grouped
mhm,
together, and that's why you'll see these dashed lines. And the reason why you see
mhm,
this kind of thick line is because you have more than one number, and when you have
mhm,
just a thin line, you'll notice that it'll
mhm,
just be one thing that comes out. It's only one
mhm,
surface that comes out. So that's how you'll be able
mhm,
to reverse engineer
mhm,
the information that comes in. You'll be able to see what this component does by seeing what goes into it and then what comes out of it. And what it is flattening.
mhm.
So honestly, you don't even have to do this. So I'll
Oh,
show you.
really? So what is the other way to do
So
it? I mean,
I'll show you
simplest.
why you don't have to do that because you see how this is called flattened tree.
Yeah.
All you have to do is you can go skip that one, but you see how it
Okay.
turns red because it has to be flattened. You could
Right.
either right click here and flatten, and it'll work.
Uh-huh.
That's the same thing as this component when you flatten it here. This flattens the
Mm-hmm.
tree. This flattens the information. Or you don't even have to
Okay.
flatten it here. You could flatten it when it comes out of the curve.
Mm-hmm. Here, you just flatten here, I think. That's right. Oh, okay.
But sometimes that doesn't work because the information doesn't have to be
Mm-hmm.
flattened here, but it does have to be
Mm-hmm.
flattened here. So
Mm-hmm.
it's something that you will learn in time, but it's also not wrong to
Mm-hmm.
do it this way.
I
This
see.
just shows you visually that the information came in groups, and then
Mm-hmm.
it flattened it out into this component. That's all it is.
Okay, that's all it is. And so if I just want to show, sometimes I'm unable to just hide what I say. It's enabled. No, I forgot. Oh, let me check on my video because I think as I heard. Okay, that's okay, preview.
Yeah,
Okay, something. Sometimes we can do the preview on special components. Some we cannot, right? I mean, some of them. I mean, we can do it. Some just they're like that, right?
exactly. So this tree component, like whether you hide it or not, it doesn't really matter because
It doesn't really
it's not something visual. Same with like a slider, right? You can right click on the
um,
slider and you can disable the
active.
preview of a slider, but the slider is not something that is you could preview.
Okay, and if we wanna just bake the curves and see it and use it somewhere else, so now we just go to that surface part to do it.
I see. So you want to take that surface and you want to just bake it?
Oh, okay, no, I mean it's just that, right? I mean the whole model is that, right? Everything
No.
else is just
Well, what I would
no.
do is right now you have a bunch of. If I can show you on mine, just so I can.
Yeah, yeah, I can.
Oh, you can
Yeah,
see it.
I see
Okay.
it in here.
So I'm trying to see
Yeah.
where these lines come from. Let's see here,
Mhm.
because these are. Hmm. So this one are all of these lines.
Okay, yeah, right.
So I can just. Oh, this one is previewable. So you can disable the preview on that one, and then it'll show on
Mm-hmm.
this one, and then you can disable the
Mm-hmm.
preview here just to see what your surface is like by itself.
Oh, okay, okay, that one. All right.
Hmm.
Okay,
What I
it's
do see
okay.
is
So. Mhm.
what's that?
Mhm. No, no, just continue. No.
I'm trying to see here the other. So we have these lines here. So I think that's how you created the surface. You lofted this line, this line, this line, this line, this line, this line, and this line.
Yeah, that's right.
Um, and then here you divided. Oh no, this is an interpolated curve. Let
Yeah.
me see here. And then we have all of these points, which I see. So what it is the way that you created the surface
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
technically. Hmm, it's not how I would do it because what I'm seeing is we have this other line here, and that's actually the line that we were supposed to kind of use. And then,
Yeah, how we fix that? I mean, it was because the dimensions were different. I just had to do something on my own. I mean, I had to add something. Yeah, I know I did something.
so
Not
I'm
as a,
trying
not as
to see.
perfect.
Okay, I okay. Can I can I work backwards and show you what I would do?
Yeah, sure.
But at the same time, I don't. If that's not what you're trying to go for, uh,
Hmm.
then I we can kind of try to fix this one. But I can show you what I would do personally to to
Of course,
to
yeah.
do the
I
facade.
would appreciate it.
Okay,
That's so, yeah, cool.
awesome. So we already have this one, so I'm gonna delete some of this stuff, and I hope that's okay.
Okay. That's okay. Actually, I have the file. Do whatever you want with your file.
Okay,
Yeah, sure.
so we're gonna start just with this curve, right?
Uh-huh.
And what we're gonna do is we're gonna figure out how long this. So the curve is here.
This is, I don't know, 10 inches, something like that. It's not a big thing.
So let me
I
see.
don't remember. Or you can, I mean, change the dimensions as you want. I mean, I just want those curves and
let's see. I type in length and it says 8 feet. So this would be 8 feet,
That's it, right?
which is a little bit small, but it doesn't
That's a
matter for
small.
this.
That's
It doesn't
yeah.
really matter
No,
for this.
actually,
Do you want to make it an
no.
actual scale?
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Of
sorry
course,
about
of
that.
course.
I'll make that an actual scale. So
No,
I'll just
whatever you're taking, let's do it. I mean, I wish you.
so I'm gonna unlock some of this stuff, and then what I was thinking is
Mm-hmm.
taking this and just scaling it to be like the size of a building.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll scale
I,
from here to here, and I'll say like 30 feet. Something big, and that way
mm-hmm.
we have this curve, and now we can play around. So let me move
Cool.
this vertical.
Okay.
So moving this to 0, 0, 0. That way we can kind of play with it. Now I can figure out
Mm-hmm.
the length of this. That way I know
Mm-hmm.
how far to copy this up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go here
Okay.
and I'll make a line,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll select this one and then I'll type in length, and then it'll say
Mm-hmm.
48 feet. So now I know that from here, from the bottom to the top is
Mm-hmm.
48 feet. Now I can go here
Okay.
and grasshopper, and we still have that curve,
Mm-hmm.
and we can just
Mm-hmm.
move this curve up in the z
Mm-hmm.
direction, and we
Okay.
can say if it's 48 to the top, we'll say
Mm-hmm.
24 uh, to the middle, right?
Ah, that's very much easier. Okay,
And
cool.
then we can
Uh,
do the way that I make a quick copy is I slide this over and I hold Alt and I make a copy, and then we'll do the same thing to this curve. We'll move it up.
mm-hmm.
So let me do this 24, and so I'll go Z.
Mm-hmm.
So move this one,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
this geometry. I'll move it.
Right.
So this one's moved up, this one's moved up. Oh no, and then
Mm-hmm.
add, right? So I have it moved up
Mm-hmm.
this amount, and then I'll move it up
Mm-hmm.
another 24.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I
And
get
I'll
it.
just
I get
pause
it.
this. So we're just doing it twice, and I'll share
Yeah,
with you.
I see.
So cool,
Yeah, I got it.
nice.
Yeah, I
We
got it.
have this, and
Right.
automatically, all we need to do is loft. We can loft
Mm-hmm.
together
Looks like that.
already.
Okay, now I understand the logic very much better, actually.
This one and this one,
Okay.
and that way we
Yeah.
already have that. We already have that,
Oh,
and
that was really easy. Okay.
And what's cool is that we can take this curve and then
Mm-hmm.
we can mess with it, right? So we're gonna take this middle curve and we can scale it
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
non-uniformly. So we'll take this geometry and then
Okay.
we'll scale it. Let's see, two in the
Mm-hmm.
x. No, so that's one of the things that
Mm-hmm.
you'll take a look and then see if in the y direction is
All
kind
right.
of better.
All right.
So then
Yeah.
instead of plugging this one in, so we'll start over again. We'll start with
Yeah.
the first
Okay.
one,
Mm-hmm.
then the middle one, and
All
then
right.
the top one. So you can give a little bit more kind of dynamic.
I see two. Okay.
If you wanted to
Mm-hmm.
deform it a little bit more, I mean, it doesn't have to be two. It could be
Mm-hmm.
something smaller, like to kind of. So it doesn't have to go. It could you could play with it. So you could leave it at one,
Mm-hmm.
or you could play with it to kind of make it go in and out. So
Mm-hmm.
those are
Yeah.
certain. Those are that's the direction that I would take it, and then
Mm-hmm.
that wouldn't just be it. Um, I would
Mm-hmm.
actually give it some thickness
Mm-hmm.
and create this pattern, which is
Yeah,
super
actually,
easy.
that was the hard part. I really didn't know how to make it. I mean, all those curves, which are really interesting, and I mean, the space between them are different. I mean, that is, I mean, the whole thing that makes it really nice,
Okay,
right?
so let me do this. I'm gonna go over the steps and
Cool.
actually do that, so we can,
Okay.
so I can look nice. And here, let me share something else. Do you see how when
Okay.
we scale, we take this middle curve and
Mm-hmm.
we just lofted these three curves. And we basically moved them up
Mm-hmm.
and we lofted it. Now we're gonna deform
Right.
this curve, but when we
Mm-hmm.
deform it, it deforms. We want it to deform from this point out and not from this point
Mm-hmm.
in. So to do
That's
that,
right.
we have to pick a point. So that's what this point plane is asking us for, is where
Mhm. Oh,
is
I
it
got it. I
going
got
to
it.
create that. So what I
Mm-hmm.
do is I like to pick, I need to pick the point myself. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll go to this curve and I'll actually create a,
Mm-hmm.
I'll, there's a component called endpoints. So we can take that and we
Endpoint.
can
Okay.
get the two endpoints.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can create a line by going from
Okay.
the start to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And
All
then
right.
here we can go to another component called polygon center,
Okay.
which and
Polygon.
that's going to be the
Okay.
point that all of this is going to
Mm-hmm.
scale from. So it's
Mm-hmm.
funny because it actually has to go back
Mm-hmm.
here. So this point is created and it has to
Mm-hmm.
go back into this point. But let's see that.
All right.
Let's see that. For some reason that didn't work. So let me
Mm-hmm.
try. Oh, so let me try
Mm-hmm.
this one first. And I have to
Mm-hmm.
pick the center point. So let me go here to point. Oh, it's because that's, yeah, that's the center point. So this is going to be here,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll plug that
All
into
right.
there, and now that'll work. Uh, and
Right.
when you scale it now, it's only going to scale out. Do you see
Yeah.
that? The
Yeah.
point that it
Mm-hmm.
scales from is going to be that one. So hopefully that makes sense, and that'll give you more versatility on what you can do
Mm-hmm.
here. So I'll go max 2, so it's kind of like subtle.
All right.
Okay, cool. So now that we have the form and we can kind of play around with it, and by the way, I'll send this to
Mm-hmm.
you at the end, so don't worry if you're
Okay.
not following
Oh,
it
yeah.
perfectly.
Yeah. All right. Cool, cool,
Uh,
cool.
so we have this surface. Now for this
All right.
surface, we need to create the lines, right? The divisions.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, we
Right.
bring in a component called contour.
Contour. Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
create a set of
Right.
brep or mesh contours. So that's what we'll do.
All right.
We're gonna
Mm-hmm.
create a contours throughout this one. So we'll plug in that right away and then see what we get. We don't get anything yet. What we're gonna do is there's other inputs that you could do, like the point of where
Mm-hmm.
it starts, in the same way that when you scale something, you need a point where to scale from.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Mm-hmm.
also the direction that you can create the contour. So for us, is going to be up and down, and then the
Okay.
distance. So how much distance in between the contours? So we'll say
Mm-hmm.
6 inches, and we'll go
Okay.
here. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's in feet. So let's try that. Let's go here 6 to the distance, and
Okay.
now you'll see
Yeah,
that
not bad. Huh?
that we've created these, and you can
Mm-hmm.
decrease or increase the subdivisions.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm.
And now
Mm-hmm.
what we can do is hide this, and now we can
Mm-hmm.
extrude these curves. So
All
extrude
right.
curve,
Mm-hmm.
in which direction?
Mm-hmm.
In the z direction.
The direction, right?
And then it's going to
Mm-hmm.
tell us, it's going to do 1 foot automatically. And now we can take those and we could offset surface.
Okay, off the surface.
So offset
Mm-hmm.
the surface and you can say 1. Or
Mm-hmm.
let's say offset the surface by 2.
That's it.
But you'll see
Mm-hmm.
that it actually doesn't make it, uh,
Right.
and it's offsetting it in. So the way to fix that is you'll bring in a negative component. So double click here and then you go negative, and then it goes 1, and
Okay.
now it offsets out.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing.
Oh, negative. Okay.
Do you see how they're individual
Mm-hmm.
surfaces?
Right. I see it.
So let's loft. So I'm going to
Hmm.
loft this one
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
this one,
Mm-hmm.
and we
Oh,
have
okay.
the
With the thing.
outside surface, inside surface,
Mm-hmm.
and then the lofted
Mm-hmm.
one. And now we can join it
Mm-hmm.
together with join, brep join,
Okay.
and then we can plug
Like trim.
all of these
Mm-hmm.
together, and we can flatten it here. Flattening, what it does is
Okay.
it cleans it up into one list from 1 until whatever finishes. So then I can hide all of this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and if it doesn't make sense right now, and but you're into Grasshopper, this will make sense in no time. Um,
No, no, yeah, I know this. Now I accepted this,
now you're
At
seeing how
first,
it works, right?
yeah, oh my God, at first it was really hard, but I mean, since last week, it became a little bit more easier for me,
Okay, awesome, great. Well, this one I feel like it's a pretty simple one, and it's a
Mhm.
really good practice one
That's,
because look, here we have basically
hmm
this. We have the ability
hmm
to, if we wanted to, we can make it more dense.
hmm and we can change the thickness, of course.
You can change the thickness here. We have it at 1, but if we created a range, we can say
Mm-hmm.
make it thinner.
Go to the range.
We can say zero point
Hmm
0.5 for like a 6 inch.
Okay, that's how
And
we
then
got it.
here, of course, like we have here with the geometry, we have the ability to mess around with this one. So if we went to 2,
Hmm
now we have something like this,
hmm
which is a little
All
crazy,
right.
but
Yeah,
uh,
we don't wanna. Yeah.
but that's cool that we have that ability, or we have the ability to go in the opposite way.
Mhm. I see. Yeah.
So let me see. I'll go to 1.1 here, and the last trick, and this one will become useful because you see
hmm
how it's kind of hard to see what you're doing. So
hmm
I'm gonna give it some color by
Cool.
bringing in two components. It's gonna be custom preview.
Okay.
So this is one that I use all the time. Automatically, when
Right.
you use custom preview, it brings in a pink color.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I tried that one in one of my practice. Yeah, that was cool. Right.
Yeah, and
Right.
here I'll just bring a shader, and then I can just
hmm
pick a or a swatch,
Okay.
and then change the color just so you can kind of see your
Ooh, that's
display.
with swatch. I was looking at every way how to change that pink to something else. Oh,
Yeah,
that's like,
yeah, with
oh my
swatch,
God.
it's so simple. But yeah, I had a yeah.
Oh my God. 2 hours I was looking for that. Shit. Okay. But that's cool now.
So honestly, this is the approach that I would take for this because since you already had that bottom curve, it's just a matter of
hmm
copying it up, and then you could
All right.
even mess around with this middle one
That's true.
by messing with the
Mhm.
control points, but that's a little bit more complicated. For now, I think
Okay, no, that's good. Actually, I go over and practice it one more time to understand everything. And I have a question. So, is it a way that, the way that the component display here? Okay, so I saw something somewhere that I can show you later in the video. So the name of each component was appearing on top of it in this display, and I don't know how they do it.
mm, here's the
I
thing.
can show you
What
the
rhino do you
video.
have?
Hmm?
What rhino do you have?
Not in mine, not in mine. I just saw a video. I can show it to you.
Okay, because sometimes some people have plugins, and if they have Rhino 6, I don't know. Do
Oh,
you have
okay,
Rhino
that's
6?
maybe. Yeah, yeah. I can show it later. Yeah, that was interesting. So
Huh.
like that, everything is obvious. You know what is it, what is that, and
That's what I
for big,
like.
but yeah, that makes it. I can show you in our next video.
Okay, awesome.
So that was cool. That was cool. That was perfect. And right, okay. So you're gonna email this to me,
Yeah, yeah.
and
I'll
we
save
go
this
to
right
the
now
other.
and I'll email it to you. Let me see because I just messed up the display stuff. Okay, I'll save
Okay,
this right now
that's
and I'll send it over.
okay.
Um,
And the Rhino too. Do I need it, right? Or it?
oh yes, the
Yeah.
Rhino 2 because I scaled it. So this is gonna be
Thank you. Okay. So while you're doing that, I'm gonna bring my other thing up.
just attached them and I'm sending it to the parametric kinetic facade email that you sent me.
Mm, okay, sure.
So I sent both the model and the script. So you should be receiving it soon.
Appreciate it.
Cool. Yeah, no worries.
Cool. Thank you so much. Um,
Yeah, no worries at all.
so the
So what's this other one?
yeah, yeah, the other one is the second email that I sent to you, just Grasshopper file, and that's about parametric kinetic facade. I mean, I picked those two facades to work on. I found them interesting. I mean, the baby and this kinetic, what they call it, right?
Oh, okay. Let me try
Um,
to open those up to see,
cool.
because I only got
And
I got some pictures and let's see. That's
oh, actually, these are two pictures that I brought it into to show where I have the problem. But I don't know, did I have to send it or just if you open the grasshopper, it opens the
let
top
me see if because
automatically
I don't think I received uh
file
the actual model.
grasshopper. Oh, the grasshopper file, I mean,
Oh,
right?
so it's not. So there was no grasshopper. There was no rhino model. That's what I meant to say. Sorry about that.
It's not right now, right?
Okay,
It's
so
just
it's all
grasshopper.
grasshopper. Okay, okay. Let me open that up because I have
Oh,
that. So
grasshopper. And you are right, grasshopper files are really heavy.
yeah,
They are
once
really heavy.
you start getting to a lot of information, like simple stuff like
Wow.
planes and lines, like that's not a big deal. But when you
Mhm.
start getting into like a lot of operations, yeah, it
Mhm.
gets heavy. Let me.
That's right. Mhm.
So did this one require any extra plugins or anything like that?
No,
Okay, cool, great.
no, no, no.
Because I
No.
sometimes I don't have. I've had that issue before where I don't have the plugins that the person needs help with, but I'm
Oh,
glad
I
that hasn't
see.
happened.
No, it doesn't need anything. No, it doesn't need it. It's just, yeah.
Okay, so I see here we have this geometry.
You open?
Yeah,
Yeah. Actually, I cannot see your, oh yeah, I can see it.
yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yes, you did. Cool. Everything is there.
So this is everything,
Uh,
correct?
this is everything. And okay, something else I have for you. I mean, okay, if you just zoom out, that point and curve, that was what we were looking for last time. I found it out. That's just point and curve. The things like what is it, like slider shape that I mean we didn't know the name and how to bring it. You remember?
What's that? Can you say that again?
Okay, so if you zoom out, I show you something.
Yeah,
Zoom out of what I mean to go. Okay, I wrote something point and curve on the top of the file. I mean, you can see point and curve is
I see
written
that.
there.
Yes, 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 yes. Oh, you figured this
Okay,
out.
that's the one. That's the one. Just you type point and curve and gives you this. I mean, that was what we couldn't figure out.
Yes, point.
Point and curve, the whole thing, the whole thing. Just type the whole thing, right?
Oh, I
That's the
see.
one. That's the
Oh,
one.
I see. So that picks a point from 0 to 100% of it.
Right. And you need to type it entirely to give it to you that. I mean, otherwise it doesn't show it up.
Oh my goodness, thank
I
you.
don't know why.
I'm learning from you. I'm so happy.
No, I just found it accidentally.
Yeah, good,
Yeah.
good.
And yeah, and I just typed down the YouTube video link, and that's where you can see how the name of the components appears on top of each component.
I
So,
see.
so
I'll take a look at that
that's
for
the
sure. Thank you.
yeah, sure. Yeah, of course. Thank you. So here I started. I tried to. That was a long video on high speed. I went till I mean minute 5 or 6, something like that, and I found two problems
Hmm.
that I showed you in, I mean, those pictures, images that I brought into Grasshopper. So first is yeah, this is the second one, but I mean the previous photo image. If you take a look, yeah. Okay, as you can see in my own thing that I created, I couldn't create those curves, and
You couldn't create these
so
curves? The you mean the
this
rounded?
curve, yeah, mine is just pointed. Yeah, I just played around a lot with it, but it didn't happen.
I see. I see. I see.
Exactly, starting with this part, this colored part, and yeah,
I see. So this is so you
it was
created some
complicated.
triangles.
Exactly. And it becomes at the last, it becomes like that second image. I mean, it's the last thing that we create.
Oh, so this one
Yeah.
is where you create the plane.
Yeah, yeah, and the video is, I mean, the same thing. If you take a look, it's really interesting. So if you take a look, you see, I mean, yeah, it creates this part and just, I mean, make the surface out of it.
I see.
It was
I
so cool.
I see exactly what it is. So these are three triangles that are created from this big
Uh-huh.
triangle, and then we're
Right.
rounding the edges, and then we're creating some planes at the end.
Something like that, yeah. And you can play with that. You can open, you can close, you can, I mean,
That
just
I see. Yeah, it's like a kinetic facade, right? Where if this
exactly,
where
exactly.
these numbers can
That's
change and stuff, and okay, I
yeah.
see. That's cool. So
So,
we have. So what I'm trying to see here is where we have this information because we have these.
mm,
So what's happening
mm,
here is when you have the output coming out,
mm-hmm.
when you're looking for an output, you want it to say one, not one locally defined polyline curve. I think you want it to say one
Mm-hmm.
closed polyline. So if you take that
Maybe,
information
yeah.
and you flatten it, let's see if that
Okay.
let's see if this works. So the other thing I do is I'll take this and I'll bake it to see what
Mhm.
information is baked. And so for now, it's
Okay.
just these two polylines, but it's not closed because it's open. So
Oh, it's open. Okay.
so to close that, so to take this curve and to close it, so I'll delete this. There's a component called
Mm-hmm.
close, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Close.
Let's see, closed.
Hmm.
No, well, it doesn't really matter because what we could do is if we have this one and they're joined together,
Mm-hmm.
we can, like we
Mm-hmm.
did in the other one, we can get the end points,
Okay.
and then let me see if that gives us 2 points.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, because what we're doing here is you're rounding off the edges on the inside, but you're not rounding off
Okay.
here in the corner.
Yeah, I
Um,
see.
because we need to get this line and this point. So let me see where those points are.
Hmm.
Huh. So here we have the points. You extracted some points
Mm-hmm.
here and extracted
Right.
some points here.
That's right.
So we're trying to. Hmm.
It was really, to me it was really complicated.
So I'm gonna
I
do.
tried my
I'll take.
hmm.
I'll bake these to see what we're getting out. See when you bake that one, we're getting two of the same ones. You're not supposed to
Mm-hmm.
be getting two of the same ones. You're supposed to be getting this
One
one,
here and one here.
one here. And so,
That's right. Yeah, and it doesn't have, I know.
what I'll do is I'll actually make it. I'll do something different because
Okay, sure, go ahead.
I don't want to go back and kind
Mhm.
of refix everything because that'll take a little bit too much time. But I'll fix it from
I see.
here.
Okay, cool.
So let me take a look at this. So I'm gonna hide the preview on this, so I can take a look at only
Mhm.
these. So I'm gonna hide everything else. Let's see.
Okay.
So we're having some issues here where we have a bunch of strange
Hmm.
lines, but these are kind of
Well, it comes from this part actually.
the
The strange
rotation
thing, I
part.
think something here, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I did
So
something here, I'm sure.
I'm gonna hide this stuff too, and we're just gonna focus
Mhm.
on this portion because
Okay,
if we
cool.
can do it on one portion, we can do it on all of it.
Of course.
So if we have this line and this line,
Mhm.
and then this middle line, we don't really need it.
Okay.
I'm gonna get rid of this. So I'm gonna mess up a little bit
Mhm.
of the script, but
That's absolutely fine.
but since you already
Mhm.
have it saved, it's not a big deal. So I have this line and
Oh,
this
yeah.
line. So what I'll do is
Mhm.
uh, what would you say is a good way to create a plane between this and this line?
A plane. I don't know. Make the surface. I'm not sure.
So, sorry, I was taking a drink of water while I asked you that. um, so
Mm-hmm.
we have these two lines. What we
Mm-hmm.
did before is to create a plane, we can create a loft. So a loft
Right, 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 right.
from
That's right.
here to here.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So now
Yeah,
we
that is okay.
so now we
There,
have a
right.
little bit of this, and since we have this lofted, all we need to do
Okay.
is let's just
Is it curved? Okay.
we'll take this, fill it,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll copy it over. Now we'll take
Okay.
this lofted,
Mm-hmm.
we'll plug that in here, and then we can
Okay.
increase to
Oh,
here. Oh, well, it didn't do it. Okay. So what I'm gonna have to do is, oh, it's because this is not previewed. So let me
those
preview it.
points are curves. We don't have any point and curve anymore. So I mean that the previous thing doesn't work. No matter.
Well, no, it does work. Like
Here.
we still have the
Oh,
ability to move this,
I see. I
and
see.
have the ability to move this.
You're
But
right, but it doesn't. Yeah, I
so
know. It's not
what
what
it's
we.
doing is it's taking this line and this line,
Mm-hmm.
and it's lofting it
Mm-hmm.
together, then doing a fillet. So then
Mm-hmm.
what we do is we take this loft and we disable the preview, and then we'll do a
Mm-hmm.
boundary surface
Mm-hmm.
between this and this.
Mm-hmm.
And now,
Oh, that's fun. Yes, okay, I got it.
so now we have this line and this line, and we could do the same
Mm-hmm.
thing to other two lines. So
Mm-hmm.
let me hide this, and then let me bring back these lines.
Cool.
So I'm going to preview all of these lines. So now we know that from this line to this line, we want to do the same thing. So
Okay.
I'll take this and I'll copy it over.
Mhm.
Take this
Okay.
and then this. I'll loft this one and this one.
Cool.
And then I'll flatten it
Okay.
because sometimes it doesn't work if I don't flatten it.
Right. Right. Right.
Oh, and because it's not previewed. So, okay, here's the thing. And bear with me
Mm.
1 second because this is important too and it'll come up in the future. So,
Oh,
I'll
cool.
take
Okay.
this and loft, right? We're going to
Mm-hmm.
loft this line with
Mm-hmm.
this line. Do you
Hmm.
see the issue?
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to change that, I think we need to flip the direction of one of these curves. So it's pretty simple. We'll just go flip,
Okay.
and it's gonna flip the direction
Flip.
of the curve.
Okay.
So we
Flip curve.
take that, and then we'll unplug this one, and then plug this one in.
Oh wow.
And now we can
Okay.
do the same thing to this.
Hmm. Interesting.
And now all we have to do is find the line between these two. So the bottom. So now
Hmm.
we'll disable this preview,
Okay.
and then we'll get this line and this line, and we'll loft them together. So we'll do this.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
And if it doesn't work, then we flip it.
Mm-hmm. Flip curve. Oh, that was useful.
And then here, now we have that one
Hmm.
working. And we know that all we have to do is plug this into here.
Okay.
And then, let's see if that works. And then disable the preview of this stuff. And here
Mm-hmm.
we have basically
We
that
have.
basically the result that you were looking
Mm-hmm.
for, but in simpler
Mm-hmm.
steps. I mean, there's just so many, like what I'm saying is there's so many ways of doing the same thing that
Mm-hmm.
uh, some
Okay, I
people
got
make it
it.
a little bit more complicated. Maybe this is not what we were looking for exactly, but
No, exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's
but
not. I mean, we just wanna get her. Hmm.
but does that make sense? Am I helping?
Oh my God. Yeah, of course. I'm looking at your, I mean, mouse all the time to see what you're doing. Yeah, 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 of course. That's
Okay,
awful.
okay. I'm just making sure that
Explain,
sometimes I go fast.
explain more on it. Hmm.
Okay, cool. So basically, from here on out, you don't really need anything else.
Yeah, actually, how we can fix, I mean, those exactly with those, I mean, edges. with those point of curve, that's the only way that we can bring them to the uh, endpoint, right? Endpoint of the triangle.
Well, the triangles is determined by this, by these sliders. So I
Okay,
so
we
let
just play with that.
so you can just play with this to get this.
Yeah, exactly. That's what. All right, cool. And
But there's
if we
honestly
wanna,
there's other ways of
mm,
doing it, right?
mm,
There's other ways of creating a slider in which maybe
mm,
maybe instead of opening up here from the sides, it opens up from the top
mm.
down. So
All right.
there's so many different options of doing this that
I see what I'm-
it really
Yeah,
depends on what you're trying to do in the end.
I understand. And if we want to create like, I mean, a surface from those small triangles, we just, I mean, we repeat it at the very end part, right?
You
Here.
want to
How
get
we
some thickness.
create 20 of them, right? Right.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I mean, just if I wanna create more of those triangles to make the surface,
I see
just
what
put
you
them
mean.
on this, we do it with slider or something.
Well, here I'm seeing that there's only you only did one cell, so I mean, if you just oh see
Oh,
that's
we need to repeat it
if
or
we
we just
increase the
copy paste.
sliders here, the slider. Let's see if we do it out because we have it here at 1 and 1.
I did it once. I did it once. It broke my computer.
No, that's the yeah. That'll be the issue. It'll become so heavy that this wouldn't really work, in my opinion. I can show you another way of doing something similar if you want.
Mm, I want
Okay,
if you
okay.
have time.
No, I do have time, and I just want to make sure you have time.
I do. I do.
Okay, perfect. So I'll go over that right now. I'll basically start over, if that's okay. But maybe I'll save some of this stuff.
Absolutely okay. Just, I mean, if you send me this file, so we can save that file, and you can start. I mean, next file,
Oh,
all of that, send me
that
that.
works. So let me save this one first. So this is uh 01.
No, actually, those grasshopper studies are very important for me because I'm gonna transfer next year, and I really need to know it before entering university. I don't wanna, I mean, be behind.
Yeah,
So that's why I just think, I mean, sooner better, why not? So
yeah, for sure. I think that's a good idea. I'm gonna keep this link here.
yeah. Yeah, that link is for you. So, and I mean, before you start, I have a really quick, small question. My own Grasshopper file because I cannot do something like, I don't know, something is wrong with my Grasshopper. I cannot. I can show you later.
Yeah.
Let me bring up my Rhino. Okay. So the way that you see the preview and bake things in the round circle thing, I mean, I cannot do that. I don't know how I can bring it
So
to my.
give
Uh,
so give it a try. Select the component
okay.
and then hit the space bar on your computer.
Oh, that's the space bar like that. It doesn't show.
Yeah, that doesn't for some reason it doesn't give you
It
that.
doesn't. No. No, it's
That's
nothing.
so
It doesn't give me that.
strange. Wait, do that again. Do the space bar.
Yeah. And hit the spacebar. You see, it just shows the interest search keyword. It
Oh,
shows that. And I don't know what's wrong with it.
yeah, that's not. I wish I knew how to
Yeah,
fix that. That's a strange little like
I
a
know. Something with my keyboard, maybe something has changed there. I don't know. Or maybe because my keyboard is in two, three other
it might
languages.
be.
No, it's
Oh, that could be it. Yes, that could definitely be
because
it.
I started working with French keyboard. It's different with the English one, and maybe it's because of that. Because I have kind of similar problems with other things. It could be that, right?
That
If I change
definitely
it
could
to
be it.
the whole keyboard. Okay, okay. I'm gonna change
But
it later, though.
yeah, change it. Yeah, for sure. That would be something that you could look
Yeah,
into.
okay. Yeah, I have to do it. Oh, right.
Cool.
Okay.
So let's I'll give you an idea of what I was thinking, and I think you'll like it because it's a good exercise. Uh, so we have
Mm-hmm.
here basically our grid. So this could be done with anything, any kind of grid. But
Mm-hmm.
now that I see that you're using this triangle grid, that's fine. Uh,
Yeah.
what I want
Okay.
to do
Okay.
is I want to get the midpoint of each one of these
Mm-hmm.
triangles. So I'll go here to
Okay.
points, and then I'll go to
Mm-hmm.
the point component, and then plug
Mm-hmm.
in this points into here. Now, do you see that we
Okay.
have the midpoint?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what we want to do is we want to move those vertically. So we want to move them up. So
Mm-hmm.
to do that
Mm-hmm.
is we'll take those and we'll move them
Mm-hmm.
in which direction? Well, we don't want it to be up and down in the Z. We want it to be uh, in the XY
Mm-hmm.
plane. So we'll move, and then I'll
Okay.
bring in a component called amplitude. This
Amplitude. All right.
amplitude is good because it you can put the plane into here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to tell you parallel or perpendicular to that plane, extrude or move these. And with the amplitude here, I can say move it 4,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or we could go up
Oh,
like
I
this.
got.
So now we're moving this up.
Mm.
So let me
I
actually
got.
put like a 2 here. So cool. So we're moving this up by 2. Great.
Okay. I.
Now the reason
Mm.
why I did that, now I'm gonna actually hide
Mm.
this one, and the reason why I did that is
Mm-hmm.
because there's a component called extrude,
Mm-hmm. It's true.
extrude to point.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
And so what we're gonna do is we're
Okay.
gonna take these cells and we're gonna extrude them
Mm-hmm.
to this point.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll plug in the
Mm-hmm.
cell here
Okay.
and then the point here.
Mm. All
And if
right.
it doesn't work, you'll notice that the reason why it doesn't work is because here the cells, they're flattened, and
Okay.
then you see these wires like this.
Right.
So we need them
Uh-huh.
to be the same. So I'm gonna actually unflatten it, and now you'll see that we
Okay.
have
Hmm. Oh my
the
God.
yeah, it's super simple.
Oh,
We just
that
keep
was
moving
so
this up
much.
and down. And with a curve attractor,
Oh.
you could make one portion move out and one portion not move. So
Oh
those are the fun things that Grasshopper really allows us to do. But
Oh
now
my
that
God.
what's that?
Mhm. And could you later show me the way that, I mean, I can make one part move and one part just to stay like that
Do you want me
with
to do that right now?
abstract? No, no, no. I mean, just later on. I mean,
Okay.
just show me
Yeah,
how
for
to.
sure. I can show you that. No,
Mhm.
no, no problem. So what we're saying here is we have when we see in the extrusion results, we can
The
take a look
result,
here
right?
with the panel. We see that we have
Mm-hmm.
all of these. You
Mm-hmm.
see that we have one, two, three, four. That we one, two,
Mm-hmm.
three,
Okay.
four. So
Uh-huh. Yeah.
all of
Mm-hmm.
these are grouped together. If you see here, if I were to
Yeah.
flatten it,
Mm-hmm.
just so you
Mm-hmm.
understand what flatten does, it just creates a whole
Yes.
list. Okay, cool. So that makes sense to
Oh,
you.
okay. Yes, that was so helpful.
So here we have those. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, out of those,
Mm-hmm.
there's different ways we can approach this. Uh, we
Mm-hmm.
can do, we can
Yeah.
decrease, I'm going to decrease the amount here because like we talked
Okay.
about, the more we have,
Mm-hmm.
the harder it is on the
Mm-hmm.
computer. So if I can
That's
just
right.
do this for like just a few of these, it'll
That's
be
right.
better. So now that
Mm-hmm.
we have these, we can explode,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
or it's called deconstruct BREP. Sorry.
Deconstruct. Okay.
Deconstruct BREP is basically explode. What it does is it'll give you all of the faces,
Mm-hmm.
the edges or vertices. So the faces are going to be
Yeah.
the planes, the edges are going to
Mm-hmm.
be the lines, and then the vertices are going to be the points.
Oh,
So
okay. That is a useful comment too, right?
that'll be yeah, that becomes really useful because you can now take all of those faces. So
Yeah.
we can go to list item and we can select
Uh-huh.
just one of those
Mm-hmm.
faces.
Okay.
Or
Oh.
we
Oh.
can cycle through if we want to go through number 1, number 2, number 3.
Mm.
So we can cycle through the groups of
Wow.
things. Or if we flatten it, we can just go through,
Um.
we'll just go through one
Hmm.
at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So when you don't flatten it,
Oh, it was part of me. That's right.
so do you
Okay,
see
okay, I
when you
get
don't
it.
flatten it, it has groups. So it selects number one of the
Mm,
whole group, number two of the whole group, number three of the whole
I
group.
see.
But once you flatten the information, you go from the first one to the last one.
Oh, that was really something. Mm,
Okay, so we're just taking one of these and we're going to do what we did before,
mm,
which is a fillet,
mm-hmm,
and we'll give it a radius of like 2.
mm-hmm.
So we're doing
Okay.
just one
Mm,
because we're going to do it to all of them.
just,
So
okay.
here I'll go to boundary
Mm-hmm.
surfaces.
Okay.
Oh, let me go here.
Mm,
Boundary surfaces. So I'll take this
mm-hmm.
and then I'll actually recreate it just with the inside there. So
Okay.
I'll disable. So I'll go here. I'll do it without the spacebar. So I'll disable
Mm,
all of these. And
mm-hmm.
we had just done it to one, but now if we unflatten it, it does it to all
Mm.
of those.
Oh,
But
okay.
if I just put it to all of them, it'll actually do all of them.
All right.
So now I can
Mm.
take this and I can disable the preview, and then I can disable the preview of this. And now we're
Mm. That
getting,
was
let's see here.
cool. Mm.
We don't have to do it that much. We could do it less. And
Mm.
so with a curve attractor, you can kind of go up and open up and close up the
Mm.
some of this,
I see.
or you can make it
Cool.
more dynamic. I
Oh,
mean, the one that you had before was a little bit different because
mm,
you could
mm.
pick the location. This one is a little bit
Right.
simpler, but it kind
Mm.
of achieves a similar idea as to what you're trying to do.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, for me as a beginner, that's, I mean, really more than, I mean, what I need. Okay, and if you want to give thickness to it,
Okay,
and I mean, make a real opposite, just.
perfect. So let's say here's the other thing. Let's say you have this and you wanted to
Mm-hmm.
make it hollow here. You could take that and
Hello.
you could offset. So that you'll like this one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We can offset those,
Mm-hmm.
and we can
Oh,
say,
yeah.
oh, let's see if that. Oh no, it's actually giving us some issues here. Let's see
Mm.
if I go in the negative direction.
Mm. But I get your idea.
Huh? Oh, you could scale it. So you can take this
Cool.
and you can scale it,
Mm.
and it's gonna tell
Mm-hmm.
you this. You can scale. Take this and scale it, but it's gonna scale it here in the corner. We don't want it. We want that
Okay.
from the center of each one of these.
Mm-hmm.
So to do
Mm-hmm.
that, we can bring in a area component,
Okay.
and the area
Yeah.
component just gives you the center point.
Oh, the okay. I get it. I
And
get it.
then here we plug that into the center point, and then let's see if
Mm.
oh the center point here. So now we have.
Oh, yeah. I
Do you see what I
see.
mean? So we can go from one
Yes,
like
it's
that.
something like that thing. Yeah.
So we can take this.
I see. Nice. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Yeah, I can play with
So
wow.
that's kind of how
Oh,
I do. What I do is I work off of what I already have. If you want to give it some thickness,
mm-hmm.
though, we could do that. So for now, I'm gonna hide this stuff because it's not really relevant, um,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll continue on giving it some thickness. So to give it thickness, you just can extrude it,
Okay.
right, or offset the surface.
Right. Extrusion. Exactly. That's just extrusion. Yeah.
So I think first what I would do is I would join all of these together. So if go
Okay.
here, that way when I
Mm-hmm.
offset the surface
Mm-hmm.
or extrude, it'll
Mm-hmm.
extrude them all together at once. Um, actually, we don't
Mm-hmm.
really need this. We could just extrude it. And the way to do that is the same way that we moved
Mm-hmm.
moved up. So we extrude
Mm-hmm.
this surface.
Okay.
In which direction?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go
Mm-hmm.
perpendicular to this one. So I'll
There,
bring
okay. I got it.
so I'll bring in an amplitude,
Mm.
say
Okay, and
perpendicular to that.
mm,
I'm going to extrude this, and there you have your
oh,
thickness. And then here with amplitude,
mm,
you can go from 0 dot dot
mm,
dot 3.00.
mm.
So you have some.
All right. Oh, wow, it's perfect.
It's
It's
it's.
so perfect.
I think it's looking good. Yeah, it's a cool little
It's
script.
looking good. It's looking good,
And
actually.
it's really
Right.
and it's pretty straightforward and simple. Like sometimes I've
This
used it
one,
enough
right.
to where I can kind of
Mhm,
simplify the steps. Sometimes people make it a little
mhm.
bit complicated, but everyone works
Yeah.
different. So that's what's
That's
tough.
right. No, actually, I really liked your, idea. It was really understandable, and like that, I can, repeat that one, practice that one, and create something new. The next time I can show you. Cool. Yeah. No,
Okay.
that was really cool. Thank you.
No
How
worries.
long does it take to get to your stage? I
Okay.
mean,
I'll tell you.
years.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I'm not that good. But
Okay, but
what it was when I was in school. When I was in school, I got really intimidated and I learned a little bit. But when I got out of school, I really
mhm.
dove into it and I started using it every day for like a year. And then you'll start seeing it. So it takes some time to get used to it, but
It takes time. It
it
takes time,
depends on
right?
how much you want it too. Like I just fell in
You,
love with it at the beginning, so it just became so easy for
exactly.
me to just play with it.
Right, right, right. No, 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 exactly. But that's really interesting. When you, get to know it more, you become addicted, something like that, I think, right?
That's
It's one of those
exactly it.
things.
It's like, oh, how can I make my design like fully parametric? I
Right.
mean, all those
Wow.
things run through your head. So I'll
Wow, you cannot skip it, you cannot ignore it anymore, right? Hmm.
exactly. So I'll go ahead and save
Yeah.
this one with
Thank you. Uh-huh.
I'll put new here.
Well, that was really cool. Okay.
And so
Hmm.
I was thinking about this. Do you mind if I put this like on my YouTube and then you could watch it there?
Of course, just go ahead and do it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. Then I'll do that. That way you can watch it and watch it back if you need it. So I'll
Okay,
save
cool. Thank you.
this and then I'll send this to your email.
Cool.
Is there any other questions you had?
No, actually, for today was that, but I go over more stuff and practice. But today, I don't know what's gonna be my schedule for next thing, but by tomorrow evening, I will figure it out. Probably it's gonna be for Friday. I'm not sure if you work and, give lessons on weekend or just you work
Well,
weekdays.
I'm available. For now, it's been all week and all weekend, so it's not a big deal. Just let me know and we can set a time.
Okay. Okay, so if I let you know one day before is good, or you
Yeah,
need to
one day
know 2 days.
before, whenever,
Okay.
just let me know.
Okay. Okay. Cool. That
Cool,
sounds good. Okay, I
great.
try to make it for Friday. I let you know by tomorrow or Friday for Saturday. We'll figure it out, but that's gonna be 3, 4 days.
That works. That works. I'll send this
Okay.
stuff to you right now.
Thank you, David.
Cool. Have a good one, and we'll be in touch.
Okay, you too. Thanks again. Have a good one. Bye
You too.
bye.
Bye.